Boosh! What's up guys, it's Ben back again with another video. Today we're going to be reviewing the Canon R6 Mark II and my experiences with it the past couple of months. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Ben and I make vlogs and videos about photography, and if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So a brief backstory really quick. This was my main shooter for almost 10 years. This is the Canon T6i, and my second shooter was actually the Canon T3. Now these cameras are great starter cameras and they serve me super well. I highly recommend these cameras if you guys are going into photography and you're new to photography. And I use these cameras as tools, and there comes a point in time where you have to upgrade your tools because they're no longer working or they're becoming a little obsolete. In my case, I've been using the camera for so long and the technology was there, and it was time, especially since I decided that I was going to make photography a career and go to school full-time for it and try to get gigs and stuff like that. So it was time for me. So about a month ago, I went in and I bought the Canon R6 Mark II, which is actually the camera that I'm filming with right now and is the camera that you guys saw at the beginning of the video getting very stylishly unboxed. And a side note, it was really funny because when I bought the camera, the guy behind the counter actually ran out of Canon bags for the camera, so he gave me the camera in a Lumix bag. Okay, so enough storytelling. Let's go ahead and get into some of the features of the Canon R6 Mark II. So I've taken this camera almost everywhere with me, from the zoo to going out to the desert with my friends to go off-roading. And I've taken a lot of photos and a lot of videos. Moving from a nearly 10-year-old camera to a barely 6-month-old camera is a big step, and I wanted to share with you the drastic changes in settings and specs so you guys can understand where I'm coming from and where I'm going to. Also, if you guys are looking to upgrade your camera, I want to show you what it feels like to go from kind of an older camera to a newer camera. The Canon T6i was released back in 2015 when I was a junior in high school, and the Canon R6 Mark II was released November of 2022, which as of recording this video was about 4 months ago. Now the Canon T6i comes with a 24.2 megapixel APS-C cropped sensor with no image stabilization inside the camera at all. And the Canon R6 Mark II comes with a 25.6 megapixel full frame sensor, and it does have image stabilization built into the camera. Now the differences between the cropped sensor and the full frame sensor, it can be very small changes, but to me, I see bigger changes. I'm able to go a lot wider with less of a focal length now because I don't have that cropped sensor anymore. But crop sensors do have their place if you're doing long distance photography when it comes to like shooting birds or animals like a bear. Like, I'm not going to shoot a bear with a camera. The Canon T6i shoots about 4 frames a second with its high speed shutter, and the Canon R6 Mark II shoots about 12 frames a second in its high speed shutter mechanically. The one thing that this Canon R6 Mark II has is an electronic shutter. That one shoots, get this, 40 frames a second. That is crazy. It's almost like watching a whole video when you're going through your photos. Side note, if you want me to make a video on like the main differences between mirrorless and DSLR and like delve into it, I will. Just comment down below if that's something that you're interested in. On to the ISO settings now. The Canon T6i shoots from 100 to 12,800. I have the numbers written down here. And the ISO capability on the R6 Mark II goes from 100 to 102,400. Now, I start to see noise at around the 1600 ISO mark in the Canon T6i, but in the Canon R6 Mark II, I start to see noise at around the 3200 to 6400 mark, and this change in the settings to being able to shoot at a higher ISO means that in the dark we aren't going to miss as many shots. And I know that if you're a photographer out there, we've all done it. We've all missed shots due to the light. The autofocus on this camera is amazing, especially the auto detect feature where it automatically detects birds, cars, trucks, trains. But my favorite is eye detection, where it finds the eye. I'm literally looking at it on my camera right now. It literally finds the eye and it just keeps the focus the entire time. and I find myself not missing focus as much as I was. Do I still miss focus? Sometimes. Even with the autofocus still messes up. It's a machine. Machines mess up. It's fine. But I don't miss focus as much. Gonna pause the video really quick. I want to quickly plug the merch that just dropped. This is the new Boosh hat in a trucker fashion, as well as the Boosh beanie. Now, by all means, you guys do not have to buy merch at all, but if you do want to buy some merch, the money goes back into the channel for me to keep creating videos like this and teaching you wonderful people about photography and the joys about it. The link to the merch is in the description below, along with a coupon code BOOSH10 for 10% off at checkout. Thank you so much, and let's get back into the video. Okay, that's enough of photo. Let's get into the video specs between the two different cameras and how much they differ. The Canon T6i has a peak recording resolution of 1080p at 30 frames a second and 60 frames a second, but only at 720p. Now get this, the Canon R6 has a peak recording resolution of 4K that is downsampled from 6K at 60 frames a second and can shoot 180 frames a second at 1080p. Now, just for your visual pleasure here, I will show you the difference between 30 frames, 60 frames, 120 frames, and 180 frames. And that is what you are looking at right now on this screen. The Canon R6 Mark II also has the ability to shoot in C-Log, which, if you don't know what C-Log is, it is a flatter color profile that the camera shoots in so that it can retain a lot of the color information. That way in post, you can manipulate the colors to the best of their abilities so that they come out as rich as possible. It is also a feature that the Canon T6i did not have. It didn't have any way of changing any form of color format. The only thing you could do is neutral, you know, standard, all that other stuff. Now, why did I choose the Canon R6 Mark II over the Canon R5? Well, for one, the price. The Canon R5 was $1,000 more expensive than the Canon R6 Mark II. Also, I don't see a reason for me to need to shoot in 8K. 4K is perfectly fine with me. The only reason why I would have chosen the R5 over the R6 really is because of the 45 megapixel full frame sensor that the R5 comes with. If you're into pixel peeping or cropping, the 45 megapixel sensor is probably a really good thing for you. For me, I don't crop very often, and if I do crop, it's not that much. I've cropped with this camera. I haven't really seen too big of a change in resolution, so it really didn't make much sense for me to go with the R5. Moving to this camera was definitely a big learning curve. The R6 Mark II, most of the buttons on the actual camera itself are all programmable. As of right now, I only really have one button programmed, and that's the button on the front of the camera, and I use that to change from the mechanical shutter to the electronic shutter. The Canon R6 Mark II also has 3 custom programmable features on the top dial. I really don't change the top dial very much. I always shoot in manual, so it's not a feature that I've used. I'm sure at one point in time later on I will end up using that feature, but as of right now I really don't use that feature very often. Now, if this camera is within your price range, I definitely recommend picking up this camera. But remember, Canon also has announced a whole bunch of other cameras in between the time of November and now that are cheaper, and I heard the R8 is amazing. I have yet to get my hands on it, but I would love to one day. But it does come in a little bit cheaper than this camera, and I believe it has the same internals. Definitely do your research, watch some other videos. But what do you think of this camera? Are you interested in getting the camera? Do you have any other questions about the camera, or just any questions at all? Go ahead, leave it in the comments section below. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and also thank you to all of the new subscribers who have decided to click on that subscribe button. We've grown a lot in the past couple of months, and I cannot wait to see how this community builds itself, and I'm really excited to see the future of this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay classy. See you in the next one.